Hello, students. Welcome to the second project that you will be completing this semester. This project is going to focus on Chapter 7 in your textbook, which is all about synthesizing information. To start this, I'm going to review page 165 in your book. I'm actually going to read some things from that page. If you want to follow along with me, that is fine. But this will give you a really good idea of what synthesis is. It says, it's easy enough to say what a word means. For example, what is an hour? You can measure an hour like this. An hour is 60 minutes, right? Or 1/24th of a day. But what does an hour mean when you are waiting for the sun to rise after a sleepless night? What is an hour when you have been waiting for someone special and that person is an hour late? Or what is an hour when you have been dreading something and only an hour is left until it happens? Then the word hour means something else, something it could take a while to explain. And that explanation requires you to put the word in the context of that sleepless night, in the context of your plans to meet that special person, in the context of why you dread what you know will inevitably happen. Some concepts defy definition in the first place. What does one mean, for example, when one says beauty, gender, race, justice, or entitlement? Putting each of those words in a context and showing them in action can help. When have you observed or experienced an example of beauty, gender, race, justice, or entitlement? What did you hear, feel, smell, see? By synthesizing your inner reflection and outer evidence, you reveal the broader meaning of a concept in a new way. This synthesis blends together your ideas with ideas from yourself to form a new definition, not one you will find in the dictionary. It's important to remember as we begin this project that you're going to be working on creating a definition of a word in a new way. And we're going to be using both personal information and some research to present that definition. So this is what synthesis is essentially. By synthesizing your inner reflection and outer evidence, you reveal a broader meaning of a concept in a new way. That is the main purpose of this project that we'll be working towards. This will blend together your ideas outside yourself to form a new definition, one that is not in the dictionary. The rhetorical situation for this, so the purpose is to explore a concept, idea, or term that emerges from your synthesis of your own experience and some outside sources. So you'll be picking a word or a concept that you will be working towards explaining. Your voice on this is going to be personal and engaging, as well as informative and thought-provoking. The audience, you're writing to be read or heard by people who are interested in fresh and original ideas. A format for this type of writing is online blogs, in print newspapers and magazines, podcasts, radio communications. So there is a wide range of genres for this type of writing. So synthesis is important because it is what makes your essay good. When you combine your personal experience with ideas from others into a new big idea, it makes the reader more interested. You will be synthesizing in every class that you take after this one. And writing, good writing should include a decent amount of synthesis. It is essentially, your thinking and your thoughts about something. So there are a couple ways we can define things. We can define by measuring or quantifying. So if we think of the word adult, it can be measured, or adults can be measured by age. So anyone over the age of 18 is considered an adult. An adult can be measured by growth, or an adult can be measured by maturity. Think of the word intelligence. How many different ways could we define the word intelligent? Perhaps by IQ, perhaps by the amount of common sense someone has, maybe by their amount of schooling or education. So we can define things in different ways. We can also define things by an analogy. So that is a comparison between two things, typically for the purpose of explanation or clarification. Some examples. She grew on him like she was a colony of E. coli and he was room temperature Canadian beef. Her face was a perfect oval, like a circle that had its two sides gently compressed by a thigh master. He was as lame as a duck, not the metaphorical lame duck either, but a real duck that was actually lame, maybe from stepping on a landmine or something. So those examples show a concept, kind of using humor, but also comparing it to something else. This is a tool that you can use when you're working on this project. Think of some analogies for the following. So what would be a good analogy for leaving home, for cheating on a test, depression, being a shopaholic? So if you want to pause right now and just think about analogies for those, you can do that. All right, so getting into the first assignment of this project, we're going to be working on showing, not telling, and synthesizing. One way in which you might want to do this is you might want to use the visual literacy method or mind mapping. You don't have to, but a lot of people find this, especially if you're a visual learner, an easier way to sort of brainstorm ideas. And the idea that we're going to start brainstorming is situations that have happened at work. So possibly you are going to be working to connect your topic to personal experiences. The goal right here is to start working towards your essay topic. So quite possibly, I'm going to use a pen here. In the middle of this circle, you might write the word work. And pardon me, but I'm not good at writing on a computer. So you can use the word work, and you can just draw little parts off of it to describe some of the things that may have happened in your workplace. To do an example, here, I'll do one over here. So if this is my work, some things that happen at work is I experience gratitude. I'm going to abbreviate this so you don't have to watch my horrible writing. Anger. That's really bad. And teamwork. I'm going to just abbreviate that. So you might then, off of these words, describe some experiences that you've had at work where you've experienced gratitude or anger or teamwork. So that's one example of how you can do this. Here's a much better picture than the one that I've drawn. But again, in the center, sort of putting work or job, and then listing experiences that you've had. Another example. So take some time, if this is a way that you learn, to brainstorm some experiences that you've had in the workplace so that you can start thinking of a potential essay topic. For this essay, for this project, you are going to do more than just explain a concept. You'll engage your reader through details. So you are going to be using specific scenes to illustrate a personal experience. So instead of saying what would usually happen, focus on what happened this one particular time. So start thinking of one instance or experience that you've had in the workplace. You want to evoke sensory detail, so you want to pinpoint things you can see that set a place and time. Think about ways you can include sight, smell, taste, touch, hearing. Consider point of view. If you are young in the story, focus on things that a young person would notice. Add dialogue. So include what people said during that experience. And then explain your characters, explain the people there. So if you're writing about an encounter with your boss, describe your boss. What does he or she look like? What were they wearing? What types of gestures were they making? The thing that you want to remember here is you want to use as much detail as possible to explain a situation.